Welcome back, Future Watchers. Today we're blasting off into tomorrow to look at the top 20 future weapons of the world. Not just missiles and mayhem. We'll explore mind-bending tech, ethical landmines, and the jaw-dropping tools that could reshape warfare and diplomacy. Stick around, every entry has visuals, what it means, and the big questions we should be asking. Ready? Let's go. Number 1. The electromagnetic railguns. Railguns use electromagnetic forces to accelerate projectiles to extremely high velocities. Imagine a weapon that launches kinetic slugs at such blistering speed that the damage comes from sheer impact energy rather than an explosive warhead. This means reduced logistics complexity and new tactical profiles. Long-range, long-endurance platforms that can engage targets with big kinetic punch, and high accuracy. Railguns proponents highlight lower per-shot cost, high rates of fire, and the ability to punch through advanced armor or even some structures with kinetic energy alone. But there are big engineering hurdles too. Enormous power requirements, materials that survive huge acceleration and heat, and the need to integrate these systems into mobile platforms or ships. Number 2. The high-energy laser systems. High-energy lasers, the classic sci-fi tech that's actually arriving, use focused beams of light to heat, disable, or destroy targets at the speed of light. They're already being tested for counter-drone roles, missile defense, and precision disabling of sensors and small craft. Their advantages are obvious on paper: near-instant engagements, adjustable effects from blinding sensors to burning through structures, and a deep magazine as long as you have power. But lasers aren't magic. Atmospheric conditions, dust, rain, turbulence can weaken beams. Thermoblooming can blur effects over distance. Still, as power generation and beam control improve, lasers become more practical for point defense, shipboard protection, and deniable non-lethal operations like blinding or disabling electronics debates. Number 3. The high-power microwave and counter-electronics weapons. High-power microwave systems, or HPMs, are the electromagnetic equivalent of turn everything off for electronics, instead of a blast of shrapnel. HPMs aim to overload, fry, or disrupt circuits, knocking out communications, sensors, drones, or infrastructure without necessarily causing kinetic damage. In future conflict, that's huge. You can neutralize adversary capabilities with lower physical destruction but massive operational paralysis. High-power microwave offers scalably disruptive options, small units for localized denial, stopping a drone swarm, or larger installations for gray zone operations against surveillance, networks, or grid components. With that said, HPM's indiscriminate reach raises collateral risk. Civilian electronics, pacemakers, and critical services get caught in the crossfire. There are also questions about attribution and escalation. You can't see a high-power microwave strike the way you see a missile. Number 4. The hypersonic glide vehicle. The hypersonic glide vehicles, or HGVs, are designed to travel at speeds greater than Mach 5, while gliding through the upper atmosphere, combining blistering speed with maneuverability. Picture a missile that doesn't follow a predictable ballistic arc but glides, dodges, and shifts course at hypersonic speed. That means much shorter reaction windows for defenses, a dramatic change in how quickly a state can be compelled or deterred, and a major pressure point on early warning systems. In the near future, HGVs could be used for rapid strike, theater-level deterrence, or as escalation tools that make decision cycles frantic. But there's more than shock value. Because they operate in altitudes between traditional aircraft and orbital vehicles, the HGVs blur legal and operational lines, raising questions about space treaties, early warning classification, and command and control fail-safes. They also force investments in detection. Tracking a small, superheated object against the sky is a technical challenge. Number 5. The Scramjet Air-Breathing Hypersonic Missile. The scramjet-powered missiles are the cousins of glide vehicles that use the oxygen in the atmosphere for propulsion at extreme speeds. Unlike a rocket that carries all its oxidizer, an air-breathing hypersonic missile ingests air and sustains combustion while zipping along at hypersonic velocities. Think of it as a jet on steroids. Sustained high speed over long ranges without carrying internally all the oxidizer, which opens up a new operational envelopes. Operationally, these systems promise fast response long-range strike without the same trajectory constraints as classic ballistic missiles. They could reach distant targets quickly, traverse contested airspace, or enable strike options that previously required launch from space or heavy rockets. On the flip side, they create geopolitical instability. When speed and range become cheaper and more available, crisis can escalate faster, and attribution becomes fuzzier if multiple launch platforms exist. Number 6. The Autonomous Underwater Vehicle or Robotic Submarines. The underwater domain is primed for robotics. Autonomous underwater vehicles and robotic submarines can map the seabed, conduct long-durations covert surveillance, or carry sensors and payloads where humans can't go easily. They're quieter, smaller, and often cheaper than crewed subs, presenting new ways to monitor choke points, inspect hulls, or shadow fleets. Autonomous underwater vehicles challenge traditional maritime defense because detection underwater is fundamentally different from aerial detection. Swarms of small underwater robots can create distributed sensors along littoral areas, enabling persistent monitoring without the cost of large platforms. With that said, autonomy underwater faces sensing challenges, limited GPS, murky waters, and raises concerns about entrusting lethal effects to autonomous submerged systems. Number 7. Autonomous drone swarms. Forget single huge vehicles. The future may be small, cheap drones working together. Autonomous swarms leverage distributed decision-making. Each drone is a node in a collective brain, able to coordinate, retask, and overwhelm defenses through sheer number. Picture a flock that can scout, jam, distract, or conduct mass strike maneuvers, all while adapting to threat and losses. Swarm tactics multiply effects: redundancy, complexity in defense, and mission flexibility. They also democratize force. Smaller states, non-state factors, or commercial players can access swarm tactics with off-the-shelf components and strong software, which makes regulation and defensive design urgent priorities. Number 8. The Lethal Autonomous Weapon Systems and Robots with Deadly Autonomy. Lethal autonomous weapon systems, sometimes called killer robots, are controversial because they could select and engage targets without direct human authorization. In concept, lethal autonomous weapon systems promise speed and reduce risk to friendly forces. They provoke urgent ethical and legal debates. Can a machine make life or death decisions? Who's accountable if it falls? And how do we encode moral constraints into algorithms? This topic is less about coolness and more about responsibility. Present the capability neutrally. Autonomy can increase effectiveness, but it can also make conflicts harder to contain and attribution harder to determine. International bodies, NGOs, and tech communities are already debating bans, regulations, and strict human on-the-loop controls. Number 9. The Loitering Munitions. Loitering munitions, sometimes called kamikaze drones, sit between surveillance drones and missiles. They can hang over a battlefield for hours, watch for a high-value target, and then dive in when the time is right. The operational appeal is precision and patience. Loitering munitions wait until the best shot opens up, reducing collateral damage relative to blind fire artillery, but raising real concerns about real-time decision-making and target identification. They've already appeared in recent conflicts as cheap, flexible strike options for both high-end militaries and irregular forces. What's changing is the combination with autonomy and swarming, a loitering munition that can re-identify targets and coordinate with others gets far more potent. Number 10. The AI-guided smart munitions and precision effects. Smart munitions are getting smarter. Add machine learning and real-time sensor fusion, and a shell or missile can better predict target motion, avoid civilians, and select the least destructive trajectory or retask mid-flight. This makes precision not just about hitting a spot on a map, but about context-aware decision-making. Is the building occupied? Are there bystanders? Can the weapon choose a time or approach that minimizes harm? That capability brings promise and peril. On the plus side, smarter munitions can reduce collateral damage and increase mission success. On the cautionary side, opaque AI decision-making can produce unpredictable behavior, and adversaries may attempt to deceive sensors. Number 11. The quantum sensors and quantum radar. Quantum technologies won't just enable faster computers. They promise new sensing capabilities. Quantum sensors can detect minute changes in magnetic or gravitational fields, potentially spotting stealth aircraft, submarines, or hidden equipment that conventional sensors miss. Quantum radar concepts aim to exploit the entanglement and other quantum effects to reduce stealth advantages and improve detection in cluttered environments. The game changer here isn't an explosive weapon, it's the ability to see what was previously invisible. That could render some stealth investments obsolete and create a new arms race in sensing versus counter-sensing. There are practical limitations. Many quantum sensors today require specific conditions, but progress is steady, and even incremental gains could change strategic calculus. Number 12. The metamaterial, stealth, and active cloaking. Stealth is evolving from paint in geometry to materials that manipulate waves. Metamaterials. These engineered structures can blend electromagnetic waves, sound, or heat signatures in ways natural materials can't, opening possibilities for more effective radar evasion, thermal masking, or even primitive active cloaking. Think of it as an active optical trick. Not invisibility like movies, but much better camouflage across multiple sensor types. Active cloaking could dynamically counter incoming sensor sweeps, adapt to frequencies being used against you, and integrate with electronic countermeasures. That makes detection a cat-and-mouse game. Better stealth invites better sensors, and so on. Number 13. The soldier exoskeletons and human augmentation. Augmented humans, powered exoskeletons, and wearables could turn infantry into faster, stronger, or longer endurance fighters. Modern prototypes already support heavy loads, reduce fatigue, and enhance mobility. Future evolution may deliver integrated sensors, health monitoring, and neural interfaces that sharpen situational awareness and reduce cognitive load. The potential benefits are clear: fewer injuries, extended reach, and improved logistics. Soldiers carry more without strain. The tricky bits are social and medical. How do you integrate augmentation ethically? Who gets access? How does augmentation alter soldier identity and training? On the battlefield, augmentation could alter force composition, lighter forces, different tactics, while raising questions about long-term side effects and post-deployment care. Space-based weapons and anti-satellite systems. As more activity moves into orbit, communications, navigation, sensors, the incentives to control or deny space assets grow. Space-based weapons range from anti-satellite missiles to co-orbital systems capable of inspection, repair, or disabling satellites. Even non-kinetic measures, cyber attacks, jamming, or directed energy from space can threaten critical infrastructure. The stakes are big because many civilian systems, banking, power grids, logistics, rely on space services. Destroying satellites can create long-term debris hazards. Our incident response and escalation calculus are complex. Number 15. The electromagnetic pulse and counter-electronic strategies. EMP effects, whether from specialized devices or high-altitude events, can disrupt or destroy electronics over wide areas. In future conflict, EMP capability is a strategic lever. It can temporarily or permanently blind communications, erase data, or force opponents back to analog ways of operating. That's why many nations invest in hardening critical infrastructure and in contingency communications. The concept is less about dramatic explosions and more about systemic risks. Modern society's interdependence means an EMP event can cascade through power, finance, and logistics. Policy conversations therefore focus on resilience, redundancy, hardened systems, and international norms against indiscriminate effects. Number 16. The cyber physical weapons and AI-driven cyber campaigns. The boundary between cyber operations and kinetic effects is dissolving. Cyber physical weapons exploit software vulnerabilities to cause physical outcomes. Factory shutdowns, disrupted supply chains, or impaired logistics. Combined with AI, cyber campaigns could be adaptive or targeted. Choosing times and methods that maximize strategic leverage while minimizing overt attribution. This is less a single gadget and a more system of systems threat that depends on network, software, and human operators. The ethical and legal questions are thorny. Is shutting down a civilian grid an act of war? How do we proportionately respond to covert cyber operations? Number 17. The directed acoustic weapons and infrasound systems. Sound can be a weapon. Directed acoustic systems focus high-intensity sound waves to produce disorientation, nausea, and crowd control effects at a distance. Infrasound and ultrasound systems can also be used for non-lethal denial, area denial, or psychological disruption. Because they can be tuned for non-lethal effects, they're attractive for crowd control or anti-personnel suppression in urban operations. However, exposure risks and unpredictability complicate use. The human body's reaction to intense sound varies, and collateral effects can be serious. That makes the technology a controversial fit for law enforcement and military use. Number 18. The microsatellite weapon constellations. Cheap, tiny satellites have democratized space. CubeSat swarms can provide resilient communications, ubiquitous surveillance, or disturbed sensing that's hard to knock out with a single strike. They can also be configured for nimble, rapid response ISR missions, or even to provide temporary communications in contested environments. From a weapons perspective, microsatellite constellations change the calculus of redundancy and attribution. If a handful of small satellites provide a service, attacking any single one has less strategic effect. But the proliferation of small satellites also complicates space traffic management and debris risk. Number 19. The nanotech-enabled systems. Nanotechnology doesn't point a gun. It quietly changes materials and sensors. Nanocoatings can make surfaces more durable or stealthy. Nanosensors can be embedded for distributed detection, and nanoscale actuators could enable new classes of propulsion or adaptive materials. In military use, that means lighter armor, better camouflage, or sensors that detect chemical traces at lower thresholds. It is crucial to keep this section non-alarmist and non-actionable. The promise is broad utility rather than sinister specifics. Number 20. The kinetic orbital strike, the rods from God concept. The so-called rods from God idea is a concept where dense, kinetic projectiles released from orbit strike targets using gravitational acceleration, delivering massive kinetic energy without explosives. It's been a staple of speculative futures for decades because it promises near-instant, high-energy strike. But it carries huge technical, legal, and geopolitical baggage. Practically placing and deploying kinetic orbital strike systems would blur lines between space and terrestrial arms, raise orbital weaponization concerns, and risk catastrophic debris if things go wrong. It also brings treaty and escalation dilemmas. Using weapons from orbit crosses thresholds that many nations view as taboo. Well, that's it guys for today, but stay tuned as we bring you more interesting videos from the world of military. We'll see you guys again in our next video. Bye bye.